New information on the scope of the Durham probe. Sources telling Fox News that Special Counsel John Durham is done investigating the CIA's role in the origins of the Russia probe. Durham has reportedly moved his focus to the FBI, but sources are also saying it's unlikely that high-ranking officials like Jim Comey will be charged. Joining me now, former Director of National Intelligence, former United States Congressman, former U.S. Attorney, John Ratcliffe. John, how are you?
Trey, great to be with you.
Thank you. I want to begin by taking a look back. Jim Comey back in 2018. Listen to this and we'll get your thoughts on the other side.
I have total confidence that the FISA process was followed and that the entire case was handled in a thoughtful, responsible way by DOJ and the FBI. I think the notion that FISA was abused here is nonsense.
Nonsense? I think you were one of the Republicans on the other side of that wall asking him questions. So let me first ask you, do you expect more indictments from the Durham probe?
I think the intelligence that I've seen would reflect that there would be additional actions taken by John Durham. You know, that clip that you played there, Trey, I remember it well. You and I did ask a lot of questions because we were convinced that there was FISA abuse. And we were unfortunately right. And Jim Comey had to walk that back. And we saw the lawyer that created those false applications plead guilty this week. And it's for that same reason that when I became DNI and I saw more intelligence, I became more convinced that there were more incidents like that as it related to the 2016 campaign. Without betraying any confidences, I can tell you I sat in a room last July with John Durham and with Attorney General Barr, and we looked at intelligence, and we all unanimously agreed that there was a problem there with respect to the FBI, that there wasn't a proper predicate to begin, much less continue, a counterintelligence investigation against the Trump campaign. So I'd be surprised if this reporting is accurate, that there aren't going to be additional indictments. I would expect that. I think the intelligence that I've seen reflects that. And I certainly think that, you know, once the investigation runs its course, that's what will take place.
You know, Johnny, I was struck with a dichotomy. You've got Jim Comey out there saying what you and other House Republicans were doing looking into FISA abuse was nonsense, and you have this sycophantish mob of reporters around him. I wonder if the Kleinsmith plea changed his mind at all, since now more FBI employees have been to prison than members of the Trump family.
I don't know. You know, I would hope so. But, you know, I hope that where this investigation goes is that there are additional folks held accountable, not because I want to see folks go to prison, but because I want people to have faith and trust in the FBI and the Department of Justice. And increasingly, they don't. You know, the American people have seen the text messages and the emails and the memos and the transcripts and the FISA applications, and they know this just isn't right. And, you know, you talked earlier about fairness, and they see that this just wasn't fair. And if the FBI and the Department of Justice can't hold folks accountable for that, then we're going to have a problem down the road.
John, I want to switch to another hat. You were a U.S. attorney, but you were also the Director of National Intelligence. Democrats have criticized you for your focus on China. It seems like maybe you wound up being right.
Well, I increased the spending on China by 20% because China is our greatest national security threat. And I think increasingly, you know, you're seeing some of the Biden administration officials talk about the threat that China's becoming. And my point is this. Can we all just be honest about China? Can we now treat intelligence on China the same way we would treat intelligence on Russia? Take this, for example. If we had intelligence, clear intelligence that said that Vladimir Putin ordered scientists in St. Petersburg to experiment on coronaviruses at the St. Petersburg Institute of Virology, and there was an accident or a problem and people started getting sick, and Putin ordered that St. Petersburg be shut off from the rest of Russia but opened to the rest of the world, and he silenced scientists and doctors and reporters that wanted to talk about it, and he lied to the World Health Organization, and as a result of that, 400,000 Americans died as a direct result of that virus. What do you think the Biden administration and Democrats and the media would be saying about Russia? Let's be honest, and because that's exactly what the intelligence shows us China did in this case, and it's why China's our greatest national security threat, and why we have to be clear-eyed about it going forward.
Well, Johnny, I don't have to wonder what one House Democrat would say about that, because he said that you were kind of falsely equating China with Russia. I think it was an old colleague of yours named Eric Swalwell. We may have this clip if you want to listen to it again, if it brings back good memories.
The president's administration put out a statement that you have China and Russia and Iran, and they're all interfering, and gave this false equivalence to them. What is accurate is in the statement that was put out today is Russia continues to interfere in our elections. The way the administration is proceeding is to just say, well, everyone is interfering.
Well, I thought I showed a good bit of restraint when Congressman Swalwell was criticizing me about that, because I knew what the public didn't know at that point in time about, his relationship with...
Well, you don't have to show restraint now. Just be yourself. You don't have to show restraint anymore. Just be yourself.
My point is, what's important is that the intelligence community be honest about China, and that people stop trying to politicize intelligence to make China less of a threat or Russia more of a threat. Let the intelligence speak for itself, and if it does, we'll realize that China and China alone is the greatest national security threat. The one country that can supplant the United States as the world superpower. And I want the Biden administration to be honest about that, because if they don't recognize that, we're all going to suffer. So hopefully everyone will not just agree that I was right about China, but that we'll be honest about China going forward.
Johnny, we got about 30 seconds. Tough question. Give me a quick answer. And from your time as the DNI, what scares you the most? What do you know now that you did not know the day before you took the job, and keeps you awake at night?
Well, I think the three greatest threats that we face, I talk about China. It's why I increased spending by 20%. Cybersecurity is the other great threat. It's a great equalizer where countries like China or Russia or North Korea or Iran that can't compete with us kinetically can compete and cause us damage from half a world away in a few seconds and a few keystrokes.
Thank you, Johnny. Thank you for your service to our country.